How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to 5 more cheap exotic cars that you can buy for under £40,000. And yes, before we even begin, £40,000 is not a small amount of money, but compared to proper exotic cars that have insane amounts of presence, I'm talking like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, etc., these are relatively cheap. Now, I did another video on this topic a couple of weeks ago when I had 10 cars for less than £35,000. I wanted to increase that to 40 to see what else we could fit into the category. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out, link in the iCard up here. But remember that I'm in the UK, so prices in other countries may be different, and also remember that whenever you're buying a second-hand car, particularly these high-performance ones, maintenance, repairs, insurance, road tax, all that stuff is important to remember. But anyway, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's start this video off with a car that is already sort of on its way to collector status, the 987 Porsche Cayman R. Now, I appreciate Caymans are relatively common, but the Cayman R is a different breed. Kinda like how the Cayman GT4 is a special version of the 981. There are less than 100 Cayman Rs on the road in the UK, so they're both rare and demand some attention. The car hosts a 3.4 litre flat 6 engine, putting out 325 brake horsepower, which takes from 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. But 0 to 60 really isn't the focus. The R is all about track performance. Alongside the sports suspension, it came with numerous lightweight parts, including the aero kit, 19-inch alloys, aluminium doors from the 997 911 GT3, fiberglass bucket seats with carbon fiber backing from the 997 911 GT2, and it actively removed the radio, storage compartments, air conditioning, and door handles, meaning it weighs around 55 kilograms less than the Cayman S. Aesthetically, it has some door decals, an instrument cover delete, and gloss black painted mirrors and badges on the back. The key way to spot one though is that fixed rear wing. When new, it was £52,000, which was only £4,000 more than the S at the time, so it does beg the question as to why we didn't see more people going for it given how many additional features it got. I would question whether there was much of a market for it at the time as there was for the GT4 when it came out. You'll find these listed for around the £35,000 mark at the minimum, and 40 grand will get you on with around 30,000 miles on the clock, which is very interesting because you'll get a Cayman S from the same year for as little as £20,000, so you can see which has held its value better. On reliability, the 987.2 platform seems to be very solid too, which is a relief. I couldn't find any consistent common problems across owners' forums that I looked at, and with the R, the key thing I saw mentioned was an annoyingly squeaky rear hatch. Even Porsche Club GB, who generally offer really sound advice, knows this is a very reliable platform. So a potential investment piece to start this video off, with maybe a little less presence than the other cars in this video, but for those that are in the know, this is a pretty sick car to get hold of. Next up, we have one of my personal favourites, and a car I hope to own in any form at some point in the near future, the Series 3 Lotus Exige S. 2020 actually marks the 20th anniversary of the Exige, which was originally produced on the Elise platform when Lotus had the opportunity to use their cars in a support championship that would run alongside the British Touring Car Championship. So Lotus created 20 cars named the Motorsport Elise, which was pretty stunning and got buyers interested enough that they created a road-going version called the Exige. And now, 3 series later, we have this absolute stunner. Ultimately, this isn't going to be a car for everyone though, as it is heavily track focused. Not as focused as any of the Cup editions, but I mean it's still on its way there, considering you can remove the aircon and save yourself £1,100, or remove the radio and speakers for a saving of both cash and weight too. I think the 2 quotes that summarise Lotus's philosophy say it best: simplify then add lightness, and adding power makes you faster on the straights, subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere. It hosts a Toyota 3.5 litre V6 engine, putting out 345 brake horsepower and manages 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, which is pretty rapid, but owners suggest this is a conservative estimate, so it could be even quicker. Like the Cayman, £35,000 is around the minimum you can spend to get one of these, and for £40,000 you're looking at pretty low miles, anywhere down to 3,000. Now, people often say Lotus stands for lots of trouble, usually serious, and while this has been the case in some of the older ones, the newer ones seem to have a massive inconsistency between them. Some owners have had problems with awful build quality, like panel gaps, doors not locking or being stuck locked, water leaks and all that kind of stuff, but on models that have lasted and got a few miles on them though, they don't seem to be too bad, and that Toyota block has the stunning Toyota reliability to go with it. Always happy to shoehorn a Lotus into a video, and with the striking looks of the Exige, get a red one and I'm sure you'll get plenty of non-car people asking if it's a Ferrari. In third, we have a car that surprisingly I've never actually fully featured in a list video before, despite it being quite popular, the BMW i8. It is a plug-in electric hybrid with its electric motor complementing the 1.5 litre turbocharged inline-3 engine. All in, it puts out 356 brake horsepower and can do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. But what really gives this car presence is its looks, which are inspired by the classic BMW M1 and more specifically the M1 homage concept car, so it is in some quite spectacular company. In addition to this, it has butterfly doors, which is always a huge flex, and it was the first production car to have laser headlights. It can do 75 miles per hour in electric only mode, although you won't make it 75 miles as it has a maximum range of 34 miles when only using its battery, and that's only on the most recent models. The older models could only do 23 miles on electricity. In September 2019, BMW confirmed the i8 would end production in 2020, which is a shame in many respects as it has been quite a successful car, winning numerous awards while kind of pioneering the more futuristic aesthetic styling that is usually reserved for concept cars, and it was the most successful sports car with an electrified drive system in terms of sales. It has in fact sold more in total than all of its competitors combined. There are rumours that we may see its successor or a replacement i8 in 2022 though, so stay tuned for that. Also worthy of note, at the end of June, the final 18 i8s to leave the factory in Leipzig rolled off the production line with 18 unique colours that have never been used on i8s before, each designed in close collaboration with their respective buyers. Pretty cool. These have only recently dipped below the £40,000 mark, so you only just get one for this kind of money, and you're looking at around 60,000 miles on the clock. On reliability, there was a problem with some i8s when they hit around 5,000 miles where the electrics would go mental, and most of the issues I could find owners reporting were electrical. Forums are full of owners with relatively new cars that have gone wrong, but I couldn't find much information on high mileage i8s. Either way, worth checking the car's service history on the iDrive before buying one. So despite getting slightly harassed for its hybrid engine by people comparing it to a Prius, I was personally sad to see the i8 end production, and I reckon in the future we'll look back on this car as a classic, if we can gloss over the fake engine sounds. If you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it, and the notification bell to stay up to date on when I drop 2 videos every week, and hit the like button. It gets me up on the algorithm and it gets more videos like this. You can also follow me on Instagram at carswithjb where I post every single day, but anyway, let's get back to it. Next up we have a car that I've included in plenty of previous videos, but this time in some of its more savage specs, the Maserati Granturismo Sport, or the Sport MC line. It hosts a Ferrari Maserati collab 4.7 litre V8 engine, putting out 453 brake horsepower, which takes it from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. Quite a comfortable pace for this Grand Tourer. As mentioned, I've spoken about this car in depth in previous videos, and I have a future video looking even more depth into it coming up. So let me focus specifically on the spec of the Sport and the MC for this video. The MC comes with some nice additional carbon fibre features like the front and rear spoilers, as well as mirrors and door handles, and the interior too. It also gets stiffer springs, shocks and anti-roll bars with custom stability control. In comparison, the Sport is slightly less carbon fibre focused, but is slightly more inspired by the MC Stradale on the front end. I'm probably personally more of a fan of the MC line examples, but that's just me. These are listed for a minimum of around £30,000, or for £40,000 you'll get a 2013 example with around 25,000 miles on it. Now when it comes to reliability, the Ferrari Maserati engine will not be cheap to maintain compared with other engines, but it's not renowned for having many critical issues. In addition, it sounds amazing, so if you can pay for the maintenance, you'll be rewarded with noise. Problems I'm aware of from forums include the gearbox not being the most reliable, oil leaks, and intermittent electronic failures. As always, owners have had very different experiences with these, so quite hard to judge. But ultimately, big noise from a big Ferrari engine, big presence, and of course, big brake horsepower takes this Italian beast to number 2 on the list. Taking the top spot in this video is an internet favourite, the 3rd generation Audi RS6 Avant. But I might hold out on buying one of these right now, as I reckon they have a fair bit further to depreciate given the very recent emergence of the 4th generation RS6, RS6, which will no doubt start to drive prices down further over the coming couple of years, as has happened with previous RS6 generations. For now though, you'll find these listed for around the £30,000 mark at the minimum, and for £40,000 you get a 2014 example with around 40k on the clock. It hosts a stunning 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 engine which puts out 552 brake horsepower, and thanks to this insane power and all-wheel drive layout, it is the quickest car on this list with a quoted 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds. Now of course it's an estate, which normally wouldn't mean present, but in the case of the RS6 it's such a well-loved car with such a mass appeal, it's hard not to check them out, particularly in the right spec. For an estate, they don't just look aggressive and go fast, they have some serious performance too, thanks to the Quattro permanent all-wheel drive system with torque vectoring and a self-locking center differential, adaptive air suspension, huge internally vented wavy disc brakes with optional carbon ceramic ones, as well as 6-pot calipers and electronic stability control, amongst many other features. On the interior they're pretty mad too, with a clear sports focus while also providing some solid comfort for everyone involved. I think what's cool about the RS6 is that you can either drive it like a maniac and have a lot of loud noise coming out of the back, or you can sort of fit in with it and be super comfortable. That's something you can't really do with any of the other cars on this list, and considering it's the quickest car on this list, it's also the most practical, as if I needed to really tell you that. What isn't practical though is running costs and maintenance. Brakes are £2,000 for example, and owners suggest leaving a minimum of £500 aside every year for servicing, which isn't horrendous but still quite a lot. Add on the potential repair cost if something does go wrong and you won't be particularly gassed. I've spotted a few owners noting misfire issues and braking problems, but ultimately I couldn't see one completely common problem by going through the forums. It's a highly loved and respected car, the kind of car you can get away with buying when you're trying to be a sensible adult with kids, but you still want to turn heads when driving them to school. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. Also, a strange request from me, but my friend recently started a jewelry brand called Blacksmith London. I'd really appreciate if you guys checked it out. I'll link them in the description. I really like their stuff. They're not paying me to do this, by the way. It's literally just a friend who started this, and I really like what he's doing, so I thought I would promote it just because I like it. So no ad, just I like his jewelry, so you should go check it out. But anyway, a massive thank you to the patrons as always, and thanks to you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Listen.